For inking, I'm going to use my Fude fountain pen. So as you can see, it looks like the nib is broken. That's actually intentional, so I can do thin and thick lines all with the one. Now I put a piece of tape around it just because that tells me I have a brown ink. I'm using the sketch ink called Lily. So I'm just going to start. And just the angle I hold it will determine the lines. I'm also drawing on Arch's rough watercolor paper. So it does make it a little bit more of a challenge when drawing, but at the same time, it gives me more of a textured look, which is what I'm kind of going for with this drawing. And remember, because it's from my imagination, everything isn't going to be perfect. I'm not looking for parallel lines or for everything to be absolutely matching. But I will notice I went up higher on that, so I'm going to go this way and pull that down just so there, that balances it a little bit better. And then I will go right behind it. And put my lines. So you'll notice I'm doing the top of my pattern because this is the tile for the roof. So I will go back and I will be doing a bit of erasing afterwards. And I didn't mean to do that, so I'm going to just work around it with my flowers. I will have them going like that and some coming like that. So they'll be on either side. because I ended up having to allow for this. I've moved the bush on the left to the back of the pipe, and I've got the ones in the front, actually in the front. So I'm just going to give them a ground line, and then I will create their window. Which part of it will be behind this? So I'm not worrying if I'm very precise on my lines. I just need to be filling the space because I will erase the excess lines. And that way it goes a little bit quicker and looks a little bit more natural. But do make sure you're filling in the area. And work on one element at a time. So don't go like I was doing the stones at the roof and then go on to the roof, because then you're going to get a different feel when you come back to it. So it's much easier if you work on each element on its own. And you'll notice I try to go back around just so the stones don't look completely flat in areas, especially if I'm looking at it from the front. So this could look, if it's a bit thicker, it'll look more like grout, and that's totally fine because you would have the grout in between. And because I'm doing such a busy roof and I'm doing such a busy chimney, you don't want to do a bunch of bricks as well in this house, because bricks are really fun elements. But to do it on a house like this, it's going to be really busy. Now, if I wanted to imply that I had a few bricks, I could just go along and put a couple in like that. And that way it doesn't get too busy, but you get the suggestion of bricks here and there. So that means that wall's a brick wall. I could even do a little one over here. And then over here, I'm going to leave it alone. And on this one, I think I might leave that, or actually what I might do, I'm going to go and do the steps, but I'm changing my steps a little. So I'm going to just go and do it as if they're wood. And then what I'm going to do is now put a little bit of a stone path in front of that. I just think that'll look a little bit better and a little bit more natural. And I think I'm going to just hint at it continuing. So you can see that my wall is recessing, and I'm not drawing those lines for that reason. So what I'll do is I will erase this so you can see it a little bit better right now. There, see, that makes it look a little bit more realistic, like these two are coming forward, that's being pushed back. And I'm going to just put in this nice little wonky fence. And you can see, because I'm using my right hand on this drawing, that I'm smearing some of the pencil. And that's fine because I did it with a soft pencil. And all the tools and everything will be listed in the description. So I want this tree to go behind. I'm going to make it a bit thinner. And even when doing the tree, don't worry if you use the exact same branches, as long as they're going where you want them to go, that will be fine. And you'll notice I sort of hold my pen back a bit further and I go very loose. That just gives me a more natural edge and it doesn't look like I'm doing something out of a coloring book. And then I'll put a few lines on the inside. So when I paint it, I can actually use them to help give the tree a little bit more shape. And I'll do my trees on this side. And the tree in the background. And the last thing to do is the texture on the roof. Same as with the chimney. You want to make sure you kind of go around so that they look like they are actually finished and that they fit. See, and here's the thing, when you create an image from your imagination, be careful if you use a reference to just give you ideas. Try to use more than one so that you don't feel that you have to color it the color of the reference. That's why I like doing them out of my imagination. I think it's just a little bit more fun. And I'm thinking of this to look more like, sort of like the Spanish tiles, but it also looks a little bit like stones, but it's not because I'm not going to do a stone roof. But I'm having it give it more that impression that it's the tiles. And they overlap each other. So the last step for this will be to take a kneadable eraser, which these are very nice. See how it looks very white? As you use it, you knead it and then put it back into shape. And what it does is it will pick up the lead. Now give your drawing a couple seconds at least to dry, but depending on the ink you're using, give it a couple of minutes so that you can make sure the ink is dry. So when you erase it, you are not going to go and have all the ink smear because you've just taken all the time to draw this. And if you realize as you're going that you forgot something, then go back by all means and fix it, draw it in. But you'll see the difference. Like, see how this half is already looking so much cleaner than this half? Oh, that's what I was just saying. So I realize I want that texture for the wood in here. So I'm just going to go, and I'm not going to worry about if I get exactly where I had it before. I think I might even go a little closer than I did, but I'm also not going to have the lines completely hit. So I'm going to just start over here. That has a second or two to dry. Now, if you have water near you, make sure you don't go off the paper and hit your water and spill it on everything. And keep turning your eraser as you do this. And the nice thing is you don't get any eraser shavings from a kneadable eraser. That's one of the reasons I do use this. Okay, so I think that's my finished drawing. I'm looking at it and trying to see if there's anything I want to change. And at this point, I quite like what I've got. I think I've got enough details. You can tell the center is recessed and the two front parts come forward a little bit. This still looks like a bush, and I think it is going to be a bush with some flowers in it. But other than that, I think it's popping out and it's just whimsical enough. So I'll stop here for this part.